What if I told you that once, a bear existed that could look a giraffe in the eye, run faster than a racehorse, and had a bite force that could crush bones like twigs? What if this apex predator actively hunted early humans across North America, and was so terrifying that it might have delayed human colonization of the continent? Today, we're uncovering the story of Arctodus simus, the giant short-faced bear, the most powerful land predator of the Ice Age. And we're asking, what if this nightmare bear still roamed our world today? Now we continue our documentary with extinct species today. Arctodus simus. The scientific name translates to bear-like with a flat face, but this simple description doesn't capture the sheer terror this animal must have inspired. This was the largest mammalian land predator in North America during the Pleistocene, and quite possibly one of the most formidable predators ever to walk the earth. The first fossils of Arctodus simus were discovered in the early 20th century across various locations in North America, from Alaska to Mexico. As paleontologists pieced together the skeletal remains, they realized they were looking at something extraordinary. This wasn't just another bear. This was a predator built for speed, power, and deadly efficiency on a scale that modern bears can't match. Arctodus simus lived during the Pleistocene epoch, from approximately 800,000 years ago until about 11,000 years ago. This timing is crucial because it means Arctodus lived alongside early humans who migrated into North America. Our ancestors encountered this monster, and the relationship was anything but peaceful. Archaeological evidence suggests that human expansion into certain regions may have been limited by the presence of these apex predators. The size of Arctodus simus is genuinely shocking. Males, which were significantly larger than females, weighed between 700 to 1,000 kilograms. Some exceptional individuals may have reached 1,200 kilograms or more. To put this in perspective, modern grizzly bears typically weigh 200 to 350 kilograms, while polar bears, the largest modern bears, reach 400 to 600 kilograms. Arctodus was nearly twice the size of today's largest bears. But weight alone doesn't tell the full story. When standing on all fours, Arctodus simus stood approximately 1.5 to 1.8 meters at the shoulder. When it reared up on its hind legs, which it could do with terrifying ease, it reached heights of 3.4 to 3.7 meters. Imagine an animal that, standing upright, could look into a second-story window. The psychological impact on prey, including humans, must have been overwhelming. The most distinctive feature of Arctodus simus was its face. Unlike modern bears, which have relatively long snouts, Arctodus had a dramatically shortened, flattened face. This gave the bear an almost cat-like or even human-like facial profile, which only added to its alien and intimidating appearance. But this short face wasn't just for looks. It was a biomechanical adaptation that increased bite force tremendously. The shortened skull meant the jaw muscles could generate incredible crushing power. Estimates suggest Arctodus had a bite force exceeding 2,000 pounds per square inch, comparable to modern big cats, and potentially stronger than any bear living today. This allowed Arctodus to crack open the largest bones to access nutrient-rich marrow, and to deliver killing bites that could crush the skulls of prey animals. The teeth of Arctodus reveal it was primarily carnivorous. Unlike modern bears, which are omnivores with varied diets including plants, Arctodus's dental structure was specialized for meat consumption. The canines were long and sharp, perfect for puncturing and gripping. The carnassial teeth were designed for shearing flesh. While Arctodus probably ate some plant material opportunistically, meat was its primary food source. Perhaps most terrifying was Arctodus's body build. Modern bears have relatively short, powerful legs adapted for strength and digging. Arctodus, in contrast, had remarkably long legs. Its limbs were proportionally longer than those of any bear alive today, more similar to those of big cats or even horses. This skeletal structure had one clear purpose: speed. Biomechanical studies suggest Arctodus simus could run at speeds of 50 to 70 kilometers per hour over short distances. This is faster than a grizzly bear, faster than most humans can run, and approaching the speeds of racehorses. For an animal weighing nearly a ton, this speed is almost incomprehensible. Prey animals that relied on running away would find no escape from Arctodus. The long legs served another purpose: efficient long-distance travel. While Arctodus could sprint, it could also cover vast distances at a steady lope, much more efficiently than shorter-legged bears. This made Arctodus an exceptional pursuit predator, capable of tracking prey over many kilometers until the prey animal became exhausted. What did Arctodus hunt? The Pleistocene North America was filled with megafauna. Mammoths and mastodons were the giants of the time, but even these elephantine creatures weren't safe from Arctodus. While a healthy adult mammoth would be too dangerous to attack, young, old, or injured individuals were vulnerable. Bison, horses, camels, and ground sloths were all abundant, and all were prey. Arctodus was also likely a dominant scavenger. Its size and power meant it could drive other predators, including saber-toothed cats and dire wolves, away from their kills. This kleptoptera behavior would have made Arctodus a dreaded presence. Other predators would have learned to abandon their prey when Arctodus approached, knowing that resistance was futile and potentially fatal. Evidence suggests Arctodus may have actively hunted early humans. Archaeological sites show that human presence in certain regions correlates with the absence of Arctodus remains, suggesting humans avoided areas where these bears were common. Butchered human remains found alongside Arctodus fossils in some locations hint at predation, though this evidence is debated and controversial. The hunting strategy of Arctodus was probably varied. For smaller prey, it could simply run them down, using its superior speed to catch animals in open terrain. For larger, more dangerous prey, Arctodus might have used ambush tactics, exploding from cover to deliver a devastating initial attack. Its massive paws, tipped with long claws, could deliver crushing blows. A swipe from an Arctodus paw could break bones or disembowel prey. Social structure in Arctodus is uncertain. Modern bears are largely solitary, and Arctodus was probably similar. Males would have maintained large territories, patrolling vast areas in search of food and mates. Encounters between male Arctodus would have been incredibly violent, with combat involving biting, clawing, and attempts to overpower the rival through sheer force. Scars on fossil bones suggest such fights were common. Females raised cubs alone, teaching them to hunt and defend themselves. Young Arctodus would have stayed with their mothers for 1 to 2 years, learning the skills necessary for survival. Growth would have been rapid, with juveniles reaching near adult size within a few years. This fast growth required enormous amounts of food, putting pressure on both mother and young to hunt successfully. The habitat of Arctodus was diverse. Fossils have been found from Alaska to Mexico, indicating this bear thrived in a variety of environments. Open grasslands, sparse forests, river valleys, and even mountainous regions all hosted Arctodus populations. This adaptability made Arctodus one of the most widespread large predators of its time. The Pleistocene environment was dramatically different from today. North America experienced repeated glacial cycles, with ice sheets advancing and retreating. Between the ice were vast grasslands, the famous Mammoth Steppe, where megafauna thrived. This open terrain favored long-legged predators like Arctodus, which could pursue prey across the endless plains. Around 11,000 years ago, Arctodus simus vanished. The cause of extinction is still debated, but several factors converged. Climate change at the end of the last ice age was significant. As temperatures rose and glaciers melted, the Mammoth Steppe ecosystem collapsed. Grasslands gave way to forests, and many of the large herbivores Arctodus depended on went extinct or declined dramatically. Human impact was likely substantial. As human populations in North America grew and spread, competition for prey increased. Humans were efficient hunters, using coordinated tactics, weapons, and fire to kill large animals. This reduced the available food for Arctodus. Additionally, humans may have directly killed Arctodus, either for food, to eliminate a dangerous competitor, or in self-defense. The combination of ecological disruption and human pressure proved too much for Arctodus. The extinction of Arctodus marked the end of an era. North America's megafauna collapsed, with mammoths, mastodons, ground sloths, and many other species disappearing within a relatively short time. The ecosystems transformed completely, and the continent entered a new phase where smaller animals dominated. The legacy of Arctodus lives on in the DNA of modern bears and in the fossil record that tells its incredible story. Now, let's imagine the unimaginable. What if Arctodus simus never went extinct? What if this apex predator still prowled North America today? The consequences would be staggering and terrifying. First, consider human safety. Modern North America has millions of people living in areas that were once Arctodus habitat. Suburbs, small towns, and even cities are built in regions where this bear would naturally roam. The danger would be extreme. Arctodus wouldn't avoid humans like most modern bears. It might see humans as prey, especially children or isolated individuals. Attacks would be inevitable and likely fatal. Unlike grizzly bear attacks, which are often defensive and can sometimes be survived, an Arctodus attack would be predatory and deliberate. This bear was built to kill large, dangerous animals. A human would present no challenge. Communities would live in constant fear. Outdoor activities like hiking, camping, or even walking to the mailbox could be deadly in Arctodus country. Livestock would be devastated. Cattle, horses, sheep, all would be easy prey for Arctodus. Fences that contain livestock and deter coyotes or even grizzlies would be useless against a bear that weighs a ton and can run 70 kilometers per hour. Ranchers would face catastrophic losses. The economic impact on agriculture would be severe. Wildlife populations would be dramatically affected. Deer, elk, and other ungulates would be under intense predation pressure. Arctodus's hunting efficiency would reduce prey populations, potentially to the point of local extinction. This would cascade through ecosystems, affecting predators, scavengers, and vegetation. The balance we're familiar with would be completely disrupted. Modern predators would struggle to coexist with Arctodus. Wolves, mountain lions, and grizzly bears all occupy the apex predator niche in different regions. Arctodus would dominate all of them. It would steal their kills, drive them from territories, and possibly even prey on them. Smaller bears and large cats might face increased mortality, their populations suppressed by the presence of a superior competitor. Conservation of Arctodus would be a nightmare. How do you protect an animal that's a serious threat to human life and livelihoods? The ethical dilemmas would be intense. Arctodus would have intrinsic value as a unique species and a living piece of evolutionary history. But its danger would make many people demand its elimination. Finding a compromise would be nearly impossible. Protected reserves would need to be vast and heavily secured. We're talking about areas of thousands of square kilometers, fenced and monitored to prevent Arctodus from entering populated regions. The cost would be astronomical. And even then, individual bears might break out, creating emergencies. Rapid response teams would need to be on standby to deal with escapees before they reach towns. Human-bear conflict mitigation would require extreme measures. Bear-proof containers and food storage wouldn't be enough. Homes in Arctodus regions would need reinforced doors and windows. Vehicles would need to be secured. People might need to travel armed or in groups. Schools would require secure perimeters. The lifestyle changes would be profound. Tourism could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, the opportunity to see the largest land predator in North America would attract visitors worldwide. Heavily controlled, safe viewing experiences could generate significant revenue. On the other hand, the danger would limit access severely. Only the most secure facilities, perhaps fortified observation posts or armored vehicles, could safely bring tourists near Arctodus. Scientifically, living Arctodus would be invaluable. Researchers could study its behavior, ecology, and physiology in real time. How does an animal this large maintain such speed? What is its metabolic rate? How intelligent is it? Can it learn and adapt to changing conditions? These questions, unanswerable from fossils, could be explored. The predatory behavior would be of particular interest. How does Arctodus select prey? What hunting strategies does it employ against different animals? Does it hunt cooperatively, or is it strictly solitary? How does it interact with other predators and scavengers? Camera traps, GPS collars, and direct observation could provide unprecedented data. Biomechanics studies would examine how Arctodus moves. The combination of size and speed seems almost paradoxical. Understanding the skeletal and muscular adaptations that allow this would advance our knowledge of animal locomotion. Engineers might even find applications in robotics or vehicle design inspired by Arctodus's efficient gait. Genetic research would reveal Arctodus's relationship to modern bears. How closely related is it to grizzlies and polar bears? When did the lineages diverge? Are there genes associated with its unique characteristics that could be studied? Population genetics would inform conservation strategies, identifying distinct populations and genetic diversity levels. Culturally, Arctodus would become legendary. Native American tribes would have continuous oral traditions about this bear, passed down through generations. Stories, warnings, and knowledge about avoiding or dealing with Arctodus would be deeply embedded in culture. This traditional knowledge would be invaluable for modern coexistence strategies. In popular culture, Arctodus would be the ultimate monster. Horror movies would feature it as the unstoppable killer. Video games would include it as the toughest boss. Books would tell stories of survival in Arctodus territory. The image of the short-faced bear, standing upright at over 3 meters tall, would haunt our collective imagination. Climate change would affect Arctodus in complex ways. Its thick fur suggests adaptation to cold climates. Warming temperatures might stress populations, especially in southern regions. However, Arctodus might shift its range northward, following suitable climates. This could bring it into conflict with polar bears in Arctic regions, creating new competitive dynamics. Disease management would be critical. Arctodus could be susceptible to diseases from domestic animals and vice versa. Monitoring for pathogens, preventing outbreaks, and possibly vaccination programs would be necessary. The risk of zoonotic diseases jumping from Arctodus to humans would be a public health concern requiring constant vigilance. The ethical questions would be profound and divisive. Should we prioritize human safety over species conservation? Does Arctodus have a right to exist, even if that existence puts people at risk? How do we balance economic needs, human expansion, and wildlife protection? These questions have no easy answers, and society would be deeply divided. Some would advocate for complete elimination of Arctodus outside tiny, heavily controlled reserves. Others would argue for human adaptation, accepting risk as the price of sharing the planet with wildlife. The debate would be heated, emotional, and politically charged. Laws and policies would be contested at every level of government. The psychological impact of living with Arctodus would be significant. Constant awareness of a large, intelligent predator that sees humans as potential prey would create baseline anxiety in affected populations. Children would grow up with this fear as part of normal life. Mental health impacts, particularly in communities that experience attacks, would be substantial. Yet there would also be adaptation. Humans are remarkably capable of adjusting to threats. Over time, behaviors and norms would develop. Just as people in shark-prone areas learn ocean safety, or those in bear country learn food storage, Arctodus-aware practices would become second nature. Communities would develop early warning systems, safe zones, and emergency protocols. The existence of Arctodus would fundamentally change our relationship with nature. We would be forced to acknowledge that we are not the only apex predators, that we are part of the food web, and that nature can be truly dangerous. This humility might be healthy, reminding us of our place in the natural world. Education would be crucial. Teaching people, especially children, about Arctodus behavior and safety would be mandatory in affected regions. Understanding how to avoid encounters, what to do if confronted, and why conservation matters would be essential knowledge. Schools, media, and public programs would all play roles. International cooperation would be needed if Arctodus ranged into Canada or Mexico. Cross-border conservation, coordinated management, and shared research would require treaties and collaboration. The challenges faced would be similar to those for other large, wide-ranging species like bears and wolves, but amplified by Arctodus's danger and needs. The military might even be involved in extreme cases. If Arctodus populations became uncontrollable or individuals became persistent human predators, armed responses might be necessary. Specialized units trained in wildlife management and equipped to safely handle dangerous megafauna could be established. Ultimately, the story of Arctodus is a story of power and peril. This was nature's answer to the question, how dangerous can a bear become? The answer, as it turns out, is terrifyingly dangerous. Arctodus represented the extreme end of predatory evolution, a perfect killing machine born from the harsh crucible of the Ice Age. In imagining Arctodus alive today, We confront uncomfortable truths. We have shaped the world to suit ourselves, eliminating or suppressing dangers. But what if the danger couldn't be eliminated? What if we had to change instead? Arctodus would demand that we rethink our relationship with wilderness, accept limits on our expansion, and share space with something that could harm us. Perhaps there's a lesson here. The extinct megafauna, from Arctodus to mammoths to giant sloths, kept human populations in check. They limited where we could go and how we could live. Their disappearance allowed human civilization to explode across the continents. We inherited a safer, more manageable world because these giants were gone. But in that inheritance, we lost something too. We lost the awe and respect that comes from sharing the world with creatures more powerful than ourselves. We lost the ecosystem functions these animals performed. We lost the evolutionary pressure that kept us sharp and adaptive. The world is smaller and less wild without them. Arctodus simus will never return. Extinction is forever, but its memory challenges us. Will we preserve the large predators we still have? Will we create a world where dangerous wildlife and human civilization coexist? Or will we continue simplifying ecosystems until only the harmless and manageable remain? Arctodus simus, the short-faced bear, the most powerful predator of Ice Age North America, an animal so formidable that it may have shaped human history by limiting where our ancestors dared to go. Today, only fossils remain, silent witnesses to a time when humans were not yet the undisputed masters of the continent. The story of Arctodus is a reminder that Earth has hosted creatures of incredible power and terror. It shows us that the world was once much wilder, more dangerous, and in many ways, more magnificent. It also reminds us that even the mightiest creatures can vanish, leaving only bones and questions. What do you think? If Arctodus still existed, could you imagine living in a world where going outside meant risking an encounter with a 1,000-kilogram predator that could run you down? Would the thrill of seeing such a magnificent creature be worth the danger? And most importantly, what does the extinction of Arctodus and other megafauna teach us about our responsibility to the predators that remain? Share your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. If this exploration of prehistoric predators captivated you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're bringing extinct species back to life through science and imagination, exploring what was and what could have been. Join us on this journey through deep time. Until next time on Extinct Species Today, remember the wild, respect the dangerous.